Welcome back. I'm here today with Elaina Serotte. She is a principal with the Gala Group. Elaina, welcome to today's show.
Thank you.
So Elaina, give me the background of how did you get to where you are today, and what led you into this position?
I'm not sure how far back you want to go, but I grew up on Long Island, and to me, being successful meant riding the subway, wearing a suit, and working on Wall Street. So I worked my whole life to get to that very point. And I started with Morgan Stanley in Manhattan and was doing that. I even had a beeper, so I'm dating myself. It was a wonderful time. And what I quickly realized was that I wanted to be more entrepreneurial, not just a cog in a big wheel, and get a change of pace from New York. So I had a friend who would give me a job here in Northern California, and I started as a bit of an apprenticeship with him as a financial advisor, so a financial advisor in training. I slowly built up my reputation at work as being someone who would work really hard, who was someone who could easily establish rapport with people and was empathetic and a good listener. So we had a group of people, of existing clients that did not have advisors assigned to them. So what they did was we started a campaign where I would go and visit them, let them know that we were here for them, and try to do some discovery. So it was really like being an investigator and understanding people's families and their situations, and usually what the account they had was just a small part of their overall life. So putting all those pieces together and figuring out the needs and then coming up with plans and trying to implement them, making real clients where I established relationships with them and with the firm.
When you're working with families, what do you see as the greatest concern that they have in today's world?
The greatest concern that people have now is if they're going to have enough for retirement. I think even those people who are very wealthy are still just not sure what that means to them and to their families, and whether or not they can pass that money down. They usually have people that they need to take care of. There's, lots of times there's children that need help, sometimes special needs help, and they want to make sure that they'll have enough to sustain sort of their individual ecosystem going forward. I think there's a lot of insecurity around that.
As a financial advisor, when we're working, or when you're working with these types of individuals, how do you walk them through a process of how to give them more security and more direction?
So it's really very simple. I think it's hard to do, but simple to understand. We start very, very quickly with who do they want to impact in their lives? How do they want to impact them? Are they charitably inclined? Are they thinking about their family? Is it both? What kind of vision do they have for the next 3, 5, 20 years? And how do they want to show up in their lives? And then we start to have sort of a more qualitative discussion about their interests, their vision, and then move to the quantitative where, okay, so what are the resources that we have here? What is it that, how is it that you want to support each one of these particular people in your lives or the charities? And then we're putting together a balance sheet so they can actually see everything they have in one place. You'd be surprised, even very successful people, they have something here, something there, they have an old retirement account they forgot about, and to put it all together in one spot helps give them perspective. And then to have that discussion about what it costs to be you and creating a cash flow statement. These things are very simple, something you would do for a business. You would never not do it for a business, but somehow as people, we don't treat our families as businesses.
2015 was a very volatile year in the stock market. When everything is going the right direction, people are never worried. But how do you deal with the volatility of the market's down, clients are calling, or how do you give the reassurance that's needed there?
So it's something that's very simple. People want to hear from you. They want to make sure that you're there, that you understand their situation, that you're talking to them about their personal goals. So I understand that, Mr. Jones, when he calls, that he's upset that the market is down, but he will still have enough money for his special needs daughter to have care for the rest of her lives. It's not going to dramatically impact what's happening in the long term. So to kind of bring it back to their personal goals and just make sure you're there to listen, let them air out all of their concerns, let them be afraid, let them know you're there, and then help them understand what they own. If that makes them feel good, okay, this is what your portfolio actually consists of. And you can talk technically if they need it, but mostly they just want to know that you're there.
I'm visiting here today with Elaina Serotte. She's a principal with the Gala Group. Elaina, I need to take a quick break, and we'll be right back after these messages.
I love fishing, with my family.
I think it would be easier to use a net.
It was so much fun.
The times when we are together, it makes it all the more worth it.
Having Dad teach them how to cast a fly rod, and
as long as we're doing stuff together, we're having fun.
Some people see a father and a son fishing together, while others see a succession plan. Welcome back. I'm here today with Elaina Serotte. She is a principal with the Gala Group, a wealth management firm located here in the Bay Area. Elaina, we see a lot in the news about the stock market, and the need for good financial planning and retirement, but differentiating what a person does on their own as a do-it-yourselfer versus using a financial planner, wealth advisor, there is a notable difference. And what is it? The approach to value investing. What is value investing?
That's a great question. So it's a very traditional way of investing. We are devout Warren Buffett groupies. But you may remember, your grandfather talking to you about he received this stock and he had this certificate and he sort of left it, in his safety deposit box for 1 million years, and then he pulled it back out and it was worth 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 times what it was before. So it really is based on understanding the company that you own, and you want to understand the way they make their money, what their balance sheets look like. And we have an investment team, which I would say they spend 24 hours a day doing it because they never stop thinking about the stocks and opportunities. We call it intrinsic value, so understanding exactly what the company is worth, what it could be worth in the future, and then getting it at a discount. So it's no different than buying your absolute favorite high quality shirts or shoes, but getting them on the day they're on sale. So if you think about the fluctuations every day in the market, and it will go up, prices will go up and down. If you know exactly what a company is worth, and the market has a down day, and that company suffers a lower price in that particular day, which doesn't have anything to do with the quality of the work that they do, or the products that they produce, or their revenue stream, you're essentially getting it on sale. And then you want to buy it, hold it, and you want to buy and hold those companies that have the cash flow in order to pay a dividend and to increase dividends over time. So they have a great long-term outlook for their products and their business plan, good management. We call it a moat around their products, so it's difficult to invade or take over their market share. So it's understanding, buy, hold, and hold for the long term.
When we talk about the long term, every financial manager has their different philosophies and strategies, but what is the philosophy used by Golub?
So technically long term is 10 years or more.
Okay.
But when we're talking about individual stocks and when it's a good time to buy, when it's a good time to sell, more importantly, it's when the stock price reaches that intrinsic value. So it'll increase over time, and if we see that it's becoming close, it gets closer and closer to what we think it's worth, we're going to go ahead and get out of that stock and bank those gains. So the long term with stocks are interesting because it can be something where they have a quick run up in the stock, so their long term then becomes quite shortened. Mm-hmm. Or there are stocks that we've owned in the portfolio which we've owned for 10 years because they continue to give reliable dividends and have a reliable business income stream. So,
when a person comes to you, what would you like to see their net asset value before you feel that you can bring the value back to them, and also it works for your company?
So generally speaking, since we don't use any products, we only use individual stocks, individual bonds, and cash in order to create the right mix for the client. If you have investable assets of $2 million and above, I think it really starts to make sense to do it that way, because you really need that control over your destiny there. So when you have retirement accounts, you have brokerage accounts, you can start to control tax, you can start to really customize the portfolio for that particular person for their goals.
I'm visiting here today with Elaina Serotte. She is a principal with the Gala Group. Elaina, I need to take a quick break, and we'll be right back after these messages. Since you can't take your wealth with you, spend time with your family. Welcome back. I'm visiting here today with Elaina Serotte. She is a principal with the Gala Group, a wealth management firm here in the Bay Area. And Elaina, not everything goes right according to plan in the industry, and one such event that is still in the minds of many people is 9/11 and the great changes in the market, going from the dot-com era to the dot-boom era. And walk me through what were you doing at that time, and how did you deal with your clientele and the rebuilding process?
Yeah, so it's important to revisit the client's financial plan and to be in communication. There are some clients who were so nervous. I had, a meeting a month with them to review the financial plan, to help them maybe make shifts in what it is that they needed to do, because it did affect some people where they had to work a few years longer because they were trying to retire right at that particular moment. So helping them come up with realistic goals. Financial planning is a living, breathing document. It's not something you can just sort of set and forget. So I think those people who were in the set and forget mode really came back to understanding about the living, breathing document piece of it. So it's important to revisit goals. It's important to revisit where there is wiggle room in your plan. Can I work a little longer? Can I spend a little less? Do I need to take a little less risk or a little more risk in the plan? So all things need to be considered. We try to stress the living, breathing document aspect of the plan prior to a downturn. So this goes back to a point made before. I mean, you can do it yourself when everything is going well, but I think you really need a financial planner to keep you from shooting yourself in the foot when things go badly, because you need someone to help take the emotion out of it and create a space where you can air your concerns, but you can still make rational decisions, because it's really difficult to make rational decisions sitting alone in your room in front of your computer, figuring out when it's now the right time to sell or to buy. So I think that you need someone to help keep it in perspective.
In this new era generation, especially the millennials, we often find that they want to do it yourself. Mm-hmm. From tax return preparation to I'll just put my money in an ETF and walk away. When an individual comes to you, what are the things that you're looking for to understand? Can I work with this individual and help to guide them through the process of getting them to where they need to be?
So I think that's a great point. So what it is we see those people come in and they say, I can just throw my money in ETFs. What can you beat the market? So we try to pull the conversation back away from the market. Yes, we have returns we're proud of. Yes, we can beat the market net of fees. We're not concerned about that. But really the value and the reason why people stay with us is because we're able to build a group of professionals around them. That's one. And then two, take the information they get from their CPA, take the information they get from their legal teams, and distill it down and include it in the plan where it becomes something that's actionable. Because if the person is an entrepreneur and they're very busy and maybe they have small children and they're running around trying to deal with their lives, They don't have time to understand enough about the legal piece to figure out what to tell the financial planner. They don't have enough understanding about the details and the nuances to the taxes to be able to tell the legal team and the financial planner. So to kind of offload that to us and help create that type of collaborative experience is something they can't do on their own. And most of them, they don't want to. They're ready to start outsourcing some of those duties.
The Gala Group is what I consider to be a boutique investment firm. How big are you?
So we have about 1.2 billion of assets under management with just 23 people. So that high touch, high access to all people in the firm. So if you, for instance, we had a client come in, a couple who's been with us for the past 8 years. They have a net worth of just over 15 million. And they had, most of the time they're a set it and forget it type of client. You probably have some of these where they say, just call me, just let me know if there's anything I need to do. We finally got them in, and it turns out they did have some questions about exactly what they owned. Exactly, why do we own Apple and why are we adding more? What are those questions? So we're able to just walk right over to the investment team, grab up one of the analysts, two of which are partners of the firm, and sit down and have a real candid conversation, a more technical conversation. Bringing that person in, and then we also have the financial advisor, technicians, and maybe the attorney in the room too, so we can all come together on why and what piece that plays in the portfolio. So it gives everybody a good sense, a good context.
So in putting a financial team together, then you got analysts, you got wealth advisors or certified financial planners. It's really quite a process. What should the client expect coming to you, though? Is it dealing with one person primarily, and that person will then take the information to the team there?
So they'll always have a point person, someone that they know is their main contact. And then they have many other players around them that they can understand exactly what they can be used for. But the great part about it is we always answer the phone by the fourth ring, and there are people there dedicated to that, and they will, with a click of a button, can understand the broad aspect of their needs and their plan because of the way that we hold the data, and help them execute on small items if need be. If they need a quick distribution of cash, or they need to add money, whatever it is, that can be taken care of without your main point person there. Mm-hmm. But when we're having global discussions, then you have your point person and maybe some of the technicians in the room.
Is there a common theme of questions that come to you throughout the year with concerns of what's keeping your clients up at night?
So I think the uncertainty of retirement or financial independence, which is working because you want to and not because you have to, mm-hmm. That is always the largest question. They want to have all of these things done. They want to have their kids or grandkids go to college. They want to make sure that their philanthropic needs are taken care of. They want to make sure they're doing the best they can from a legal and tax perspective, but they also want to make sure that they're maintaining their lifestyle. And what do they need to do to do that? In order to do that, not just now in the next 5 years, but 10, 20, 30 years in the future.
Elaina, how does somebody get a hold of you?
They can go to the Golub Group's website and go ahead and click on my picture, and I'll be right there.
GolubGroup.com?
GolubGroup.com.
Okay, email's the best way then?
Excellent, yes.
Okay. Elaina, thanks for being with us today. I've been visiting with Elaina Serotte. She's the principal with the Golub Group, a wealth management firm here in the Bay Area. We'll be right back after these messages.